Hey, it's Trevor. It's a given Dow.
And it's Kevin. She gone to camp.
And this is VTV, the definitive podcast for all things LGBT travel, pop culture, and where we share diverse perspectives from members within our community. How are you doing, Kevin?
I'm ready to death drop into this episode.
Oh, for the kids at home, what is death drop?
Well, I don't know that much lingo for the kids, but I will say that this episode's about drag.
Ah, okay, we love that. Have you had any fun experiences with? Have you ever done drag?
Oh no.
Really?
No. I actually like leading into the boy drag of it all. Like, drag kings are fascinating to me.
Sure.
There's a drag king called Klaus in LA that kind of inspired my renaissance into drag kings.
Really?
Yeah. And I will name drop one more. Wet Mess. It's a drag king that is so fun from the UK.
Oh my God, I had no idea that you had so
I love
much.
drag kings.
They, I feel like, are a sector of drag that doesn't get highlighted enough.
Well, what about you? What's your favorite drag queen?
I don't know if I have a favorite.
What's your favorite drag performance that you could think of?
Well, we did have one very, very fun queer experience where we were at a bar in downtown LA called Precinct, and we were watching. It was the episode of season 11, I guess, that Evie Oddly and Brooklyn Heights were doing a dance number to Sorry Not Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been in a space where so many gay people were so gagged at the same time, because that lip sync was one of the I think we had started watching Drag Race season 10. We were late to the party, sorry everyone, and then we started venturing out and going to the bars and going to watch parties,
and that was a universe of its own experience. I get why people love sports and love going to games. I was oh yeah, this energy is real, it's tangible, and it's everywhere in this bar.
I felt like a straight man watching sports.
Yeah, and fun fact is VACAYA sponsored that episode.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
We were the match game, right? At sea? Game
Snatch
at sea.
Game at Sea, yeah. Mm. And VACAYA has actually sponsored a few episodes of Drag Race International franchises as well. We've sponsored an episode for Drag Race Down Under, and we've done an episode for Drag Race Germany. So you could say that VACAYA is a fan of drag as well. We've had Alyssa Edwards, Lavoie, who's going to be on the next season of Drag Race UK, which is very exciting. So for all of our VACAYans who have seen Lavoie perform on we've had Lavoie perform on multiple trips. Now we can root for Lavoie in real time on Drag Race UK, which is super exciting.
Yeah, our international queen.
When we were in New York, we got to talk with Marti Cummings, who is an incredible drag artist, and they have been doing drag for over a decade. They are very politically active, incredible at what they do. A wonderful, inspiring speaker.
Yes, we love Marti. Marti's our small ship cruise director, a force of nature. There's a very focused presence with Marti. It's the tornado that they come with is so much fun.
Yeah, and so quick, and one of those people that just is a people person and is so great with guests, and it's so fun to watch. So while we were in New York during the summer tour, we got the opportunity to sit down with Marti, and we're going to get to that interview in just a little bit. But what were some of your highlights from New York? I feel like you're kind of representing one of those.
Oh yeah, New York. Oh Mary was a great Broadway experience for me. It was Looney Tunes and gay and everything absurd that I needed to enjoy life, really.
Yeah, and Cola Scola, is the performer that created Oh Mary, and it was an incredible show, and one of those fun iterations of drag, because I don't know if Cole really would say that they're a drag artist, but it's utilizing and showcasing drag in such a fun, unique, special way, and I think that's what makes drag so universal, is it can be adapted and molded and changed for so many people. And I think that's where you talk about drag kings, and you talk about, cis straight women who now participate in drag.
What you're wearing right now is pretty drag. This is giving mask. This is giving gay. You're really
I'm a little bit of everything, baby.
You're really showing a lot today. Everything's drag, really.
Isn't that what RuPaul says? You're born naked and the rest is drag?
It seems to be such a focus on where the culture is. No matter what you wear, you're kind of making a statement about the current state of culture.
For sure. I mean, I'm having a lot of fun actually starting to wear a little more gender bendy stuff just because I feel comfortable. And there are times where I definitely am reminded that there's still a lot of ways to go. Like the other night I went to a show and I was in like a all iridescent jean look, and I got, called the F slur from the street while I was walking back to my car. And
you live in a podunk town called Los Angeles. So.
Right, exactly. So, anytime that, I think what's so incredible about drag is it really is political in so many ways without necessarily having to like hit you over the head about being political.
And Marti encompasses everything about that. So this interview is really a tribute to all the work that they do.
Yeah. So let's get into it. We're in New York City with the one and only Marti Cummings, our small ship cruise director extraordinaire.
Hello, VTV. I'm Marti Cummings. My pronouns are they, them, theirs, and I am your small luck ship cruise director.
She said, work the cameras.
We're going to hit every camera.
Yes.
But I've been doing drag for 16 years, and that has created an opportunity to be in the community in a different way, and it gave me a platform, which is so exciting, to be able to talk about issues I care about, to try to engage people politically. I'm a big believer in local politics, and we're seeing so many of the LGBTQIA plus rights rolled back on the state level, and that's why I think local politics is so important, and drag has given me a platform to be able to talk about that. And VACAYA has been so great about giving me an opportunity to talk to our guest about that through Drag 101, a great series that we do where, because a lot of people don't know the full history of drag in America, so I'm really grateful we get to do that with VACAYA. And then of course my documentary Queen of New York, which is about my campaign for city council. VACAYA has given me a wonderful opportunity to share that with our guest, our VACAYans.
Can I ask you a specific question about that? The idea of like drag being power, and there's power in it, and the idea of politics being kind of drag in a way. How do you relate the two?
Drag in and of itself is inherently political, because when you're doing drag, whether you're a drag queen or a drag king or a drag, however, artist, whatever, you're going against the systemic norms of what a patriarchal system says is gender. And we know that gender is expansive, and not just within the binary. And like I talk about in Drag 101, the first known drag artist in America, William Dorsey Swann, is somebody who was born into slavery. The first openly LGBTQIA plus person to run for office in this country was Jose Sarria, who was a drag artist. And drag and
Politics.
Yes, Kevin. Yes. Getting there. Drag and politics are intersectional, and drag artists are given a platform to be able to advocate for members of our community, like the trans community and the genderqueer, two-spirit, non-binary community who are really under attack,
I know there's a few drag queens that run for office, but you are the...
Maybe a girl in California ran for office. There's this wonderful drag artist, Bridget, in Texas, who was just at the Capitol advocating for LGBTQ rights along with Jiggly and Joey J. Honey Mahogany, who a lot of people in the mainstream know from season 3 of RuPaul's Drag Race. They ran for the board of supervisors in San Francisco. They are now the elected head of the Democratic Party in San Francisco.
So are y'all like pretty tight then? Like, would we say that you're all like kind of like a drag party of yourselves?
Yeah, I mean, we live in different parts of the country, but I think we all like know each other. Then there's amazing drag artists in New York City that are doing incredible work. They haven't run for office at this stage in their life, but they're doing incredible work. So there's a lot of drag artists doing work around politics. You don't necessarily have to run for office to make change and make a difference. Yeah.
Were you toying with the idea of doing drag in high school?
I just had my 19-year anniversary in New York. I moved June 23rd of 2005, right after high school graduation. Oh, wow. And so I was 17 when I moved. So when I was around 19 or 20, I got cast in an off-Broadway show called Twist. And at my final callback, they were like, we want to change this character up. We think that you would be good at this. And the character played with like the gender binary and dressed up.
People were like, can you please keep doing this over here and over here?
Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of people were like, quit. But haha.
I have a question about, you mentioned a lot of the trips, destinations that we're about to go on, that you're about to be a part of. Specifically, Antarctica seems to be a unique destination. Do you have any tips for people who are considering it, like as far as like what to expect?
I will be on the forthcoming Antarctica trip. Buckle up for an adventure. And I'm excited for whales and penguins and polar bears, hopefully.
If there's still...
They don't live in Antarctica. No, they live in the North Pole. So it's a science, Trevor. And they're north.
They're not called North Polar Bears.
Yes, but they don't. They live in the northern part of the globe, northern hemisphere. It's okay. It's okay. I'll teach you. And
Trevor, I'll edit this out for you.
yeah, no, don't keep it in. Keep it in. It's a learning lesson. And one of the great things about VACAYA and being the cruise director is getting to explore parts of the world that aren't explored very frequently. And what I always tell people when I'm trying to talk to them about our trips and booking our trips, we at VACAYA really do a good job about taking LGBTQ people to destinations that they don't traditionally go to, like Antarctica, the Middle East, where we went last year, which was incredible, like just a life-changing opportunity to see the pyramids and the Sphinx, and really incredible. And even going to the Kimberley, we're going to be a company that has now gone to all 7 continents, which is so just beyond. So I guess my tip about Antarctica is just like buckle up for an incredible ride, and wear scarf.
The idea of these destinations being like a queer experience too, like there's like an element of sex positivity on these trips. Like how can you describe like that element along with these remote destinations? Like
I think one of the great things about VACAYA and the team that we've assembled at the V team is we really try to be inclusive to all members of the LGBTQ community. Obviously we have a large group of gay guys coming. We're seeing more women, lesbians coming on our trips, which is amazing. Trans people and non-binary people, and that's reflected in our staff and the artists we hire, the performers we hire as well. So I think there's really something for everybody on our trips, between show programming and games and excursions, and then on the sex positivity part, I think we worked really well to create a safe environment for people who want to participate in a spicy atmosphere. We try to make it like as inclusive as possible, and also like we're all adults, and sex positivity is like such an amazing thing. And for myself personally, in the last couple of years, since I got divorced, I really started to discover new things about my own sexuality and desires, and I think having like spaces that are safe to do that in are really important, and I think our team does a really good job of creating that.
Right, and not just a space anywhere, it's like space near the Galapagos or like...
Yeah, baby, you wanna diddle a dingle, you do it in a tropical or Antarctic environment.
You gotta stay warm somehow.
But what's also great about us is our ships are geared like specifically for this. Like our big ships are more in that vein. Our Lux trips are for people who want maybe a tamer experience. Our resorts are a nice mix of both. So there really is something for everybody, and that's what I think is great. And there's no pressure to participate in anything you don't.
Would you say that you kind of design your own vacation in that way?
You design your own vacation, and we do the best we can to cater to everyone's needs.
Yeah, there's definitely different levels of intimacy, whether it's like emotional, intelligence, sexual, whatever that is.
We had what was it? The Bora Bora. We went to Bora Bora, and we had 7 days at sea, and there was such an amazing program. We had the comedy workshops, which was so great because people got to tap into a side of themselves maybe they didn't get to see before. And
did you lead that?
No. That was Brandy and
Jenna.
Right. They were able to like really give our guests an opportunity to showcase themselves in a way they might not even know they were able to be showcased. We did Drag 101. We had all the and Hamptons. We had all these great singers and entertainers, and then we had a kink workshop. We had a tantric workshop. So there was different things for people to do. Like if you wanted to, and even the tantric workshop wasn't inherently sexual. It was a way to connect with your mind, body, and spirit. And when connecting your mind, body, and spirit, you're able to enjoy sex in a more exciting way.
Marty, you have a new documentary coming out, or that is, sorry, it's not, you just premiered, hold on.
You just say a documentary and then I'll go into
Okay, actually. Oh, Marty!
I'm sure.
Marty.
Queen of New York is a documentary about my 2021 campaign for City Council. It was streaming on the Advocate channel. But it was wonderful. We got to go to Sundance with it. It premiered at the New Fest Film Festival in New York, which is an LGBTQ film festival. We just went to Cannes, Lyon, in France. For me, it's a film about a bunch of queer people coming together in coalition to stand up to better their community, to better their neighborhoods, to better be of service to their neighbors, and that's what politics is all about to me, and so I hope if whoever watches this film, I hope for older people who may not understand pronouns or the gender binary, they learn something. And for young people or older, for anybody really, I hope that they're inspired to get involved in local politics. And I'm just really, and it also shows that anybody can run for office. We should have, as a gig worker, I think it's important to have gig workers in office. So it's really exciting, and I'm excited to see where the film goes. And
also this idea of you heading a community is very much a parallel to VACAYA, how you work with VACAYA. You are bringing people together to, in VACAYA's instance, to have a good time.
Yeah.
So you are the mother of
VACAYA. One of the great things about our Lux trips, especially all of our trips really, but for the Lux trips, they're smaller, right? And so we see a lot of returning guests, and so you feel like you're traveling with your friends because you're building these friendships. And a lot of the guests who are return guests make friends with people, and they stay in touch between trips and then book trips because other people are going. And then when we have new VACAYans come in, what's great about these trips is we embrace them, and then they become a part of that community. And so as a drag artist, it's really exciting to engage with people on a different type of level like that, and to be silly while we do it.
You're right. You're good at that.
Well, very good. Next question, I wonder.
Are there any organizations or companies that you kind of, not to be we probably won't be got to be, but are there any organizations that you feel work very hard throughout the year that maybe some of our viewers or listeners might not have heard of or might not be aware of, that you think, hey, check this out?
Well, we
did great work
on the ships a lot. I have dinner and lunches with the guests all the time, and because of my work in politics, they're always asking me a lot of questions, and I always tell them I encourage our guests, our VACAYans, to look at what organizations are doing the work in their own communities, what organizations are doing the work in their own backyards. But for me, as somebody who lives in New York, I'm on the board of directors for Ali Forney Center, the nation's largest LGBTQIA plus shelter for unhoused queer kids, ages 16 to 24. We just announced today that we have our second all-trans housing that will be opening up. It's going to be named after Cecilia Gentili, who was an incredible trans activist who sadly passed away recently. So looking at organizations like Ali Forney Center, Hedrick Martin Institute is one I work with a lot in the city. They're home of the Harvey Milk High School. The Ochre Project, which helps trans folks. Black Trans Liberation, which Queen Jean, who's an incredible trans activist in New York, runs and operates. Uptown Wagon is an organization that I helped to start, which does meal services and a free store every couple months in the city. You know, so there's so many things, ways to be involved in organizations. I encourage people to look into those organizations and then find out what are the ones similar to those in their own backyards. And then, you know, I work as a project specialist for Equality New York as well, part-time, and every state has its own equality group or nonprofit, and so I encourage people to look at those in their states. And then
would you say generally, like, this sentiment of your own backyard and local hands on politics is the most efficient way to change?
Yeah, and I always say school boards are the most important elected position in this country right now, because we're seeing with teachers not being allowed to talk about their families if they're queer or LGBTQ, or students, you know, not being able to use the proper bathroom or to play sports, or, you know,
read a book.
Read a book, books being banned, you know, all this stuff. VACAYA and VACAYA is very good about highlighting organizations and community, which I think is really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, every trip we have a reach out initiative that we try to make sure that
I loved when we were in Central America, meeting with the folks down there in, where were we, Costa Rica?
Yeah.
Meeting with the folks in Costa Rica. Randall took us to dinner with them, and we learned about the work they're doing for trans people in Costa Rica, and that educated me a lot on, like, the issues impacting people in that part of the world. And it was really exciting, and I'm really proud that we have a company that, like, does that.
And I think that's one of the benefits too of traveling with a company that is LGBTQ plus focused. It's like,
which is important. We're not just gay focused. We're LGBTQIA plus focused.
Yes,
which is so important.
It's a huge. I mean, that is the goal. It's inclusion. And how do we make that as successful as possible for not only all of our guests, but the places that we visit then too, because there might be some queer kid that might see us.
There are gay penguins.
If you feel comfortable with it, because, you know, for our younger viewers, listeners, your kind of journey, I guess, to your non-binary, you know, like, what was that process like? Was that something that you always kind of were fluctuating in between, not feeling like anywhere in the binary?
You know, I have a lot of guests ask me about this. And I think, you know, we're living in an age where, like, a lot of kids feel more okay coming out, despite all of this, like, legislation that's being introduced. But, you know, for me, like, I don't know, it was, like, different, you know, like, when I was a kid, you know, like, a lot of LGBTQ people, you know, we feel different, we feel other, like, all that stuff, you know, I'm not, like, unique in that, right? But, you know, when I came out when I was 14, and everybody was like, oh, you're just like Jack, I'm Lily Grace, I'm a gay best friend. And I was like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. Like, but when I was 14, that's the only language I had, right?
Right.
Like, that was the only language available at that time. And what's really great about culture is language is constantly evolving.
Yeah.
And but we also know that trans people and genderqueer and non-binary and two-spirit people have been a part of every society since the existence of humans, and we see that in literature and writing and even religious text and all that stuff. So this is not new.
It's literal history.
Yeah, we just in, like, the English language have, like, started to evolve in that sense. So when I was, like, probably around, like, 29 or 30, like 30, I'm 36 now. I'll be 37 by the time this airs.
You're 87, 19.
No! Yeah. Oh, I thought you were saying I was 87. I was, aren't we the same age?
Yes.
Botox. And so I just got my, as life has evolved and I was, you know, doing, like, deep dives into myself, like, I always felt there was kind of, like, that missing piece of the puzzle, and as language evolved, I was like, that's what it is.
That's the puzzle piece that fits.
Yeah, and I, like, at this stage of my life, feel very complete in that journey. But I also know that human beings, like, we should always be evolving and exploring ourselves and being okay with change within ourselves. And so, like, I don't know if it's the end of that journey for me, but I feel good about it right now.
Well, there's a lot of power to allowing yourself to fluctuate too and being okay.
Nothing's permanent, you know?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Oh, you remember our Europe experience, our bathhouse tour?
Yeah. I went to one with you.
No, we went.
That was the first one I ever went to.
I had a great time in Zurich. Oh,
Great.
Would you go back to Zurich just for that bathhouse?
it was great. I'm so sad I didn't go to the one in Cologne.
But Amsterdam, have you ever been to that one?
Yeah, I've been to church.
Okay, so church, we didn't get to go to.
I performed at church. I might be performing there while we're there. I had to check in with them.
Were you like, oh, I wish I wasn't performing in drag right now. I wish I was performing down on the dance floor when you were doing that?
Sure. Last time I was in Amsterdam, I went back to church and I was performing in different ways.
We love that. And thank you for joining us on BTV today. We had a very wonderful time with a special guest, Marti Cummings.
And you can always catch me on our Lux trips, the next being Antarctica in December, a wonderful way to close out the year, and I can't wait to see the penguins and the whales, not the polar bears, as we so eloquently learned here at National Geographic Studios, and book your next trip to the Kimberley, as well as our Caribbean and Alaska trips on the big boats.
We'll see y'all next time. Marti was very instrumental in kind of helping VACAYA create this VACAYA University aspect of our trips, with, you know, these kind of seminars and stuff to learn about certain topics. And one of those is Drag 101. It's an introduction to the history of drag. Okay, at the beginning of the episode, you said Kevin she gone de Kemp, and I said Trevor is a given Dow. What is the significance of that?
If you were lucky enough to hear the beginning of this episode, you would understand that we are insane, and also we have a beautiful drag name we've inserted, and mine is She Gone.
What's your drag persona?
If I ever took Marty's Drag 101 class, I would fully embrace the idea of disappearing after every performance. I would just show up and be like, She Gone. The queen of Irish goodbyes.
Oh my gosh, are you Irish?
A little bit.
Are you? Oh my gosh. Wow, history.
Speaking of this episode on drag that we're doing, do you remember when I put a breastplate on in front of your mom? That's probably the closest to drag I ever got.
Yeah, no, she was definitely taken aback. And it looked great on you. In fact, I think we should probably insert that video clip of you with that breastplate for sure.
Oh my God, Mom. We turn to the side? Oh my God. Are you going to feel them?
Whose turn is it?
What's underneath your shirt? Oh my God.
Oh my, they look so real, don't they?
And then mine is Isa Given, because I'm always trying to give, you know, like I'm all about giving.
Yeah, you give a lot.
Next week is going to be very exciting because it's our Halloween episode, so I can't wait to see what you're wearing.
Ooh, I'll be surprised by your costume.
Next week's episode will be spicy as well, so just a little disclaimer, but also extremely educational. We talk to Jonathan Baker, who is known as the rectal rock star, and we get into a lot of really incredible information when it comes to sexual health. And it's not just male sexual health, it is the whole spectrum.
Rectums are universal.
You heard it here first. Okay, we'll see you on the next episode.
See you on the next episode of VTV.